Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to a few of you, and those watching the replay. Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and today is the 15th of September, 2022, 4 days away from a special day. And I'm glad that you guys are here. We have a wonderful guest today, Miss Kimberly Brown. My name is Gregory Sneed, and I have a company, Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients keep more of the money that they make, and I do that through life insurance solutions, financial coaching, and financial literacy training, because I firmly believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. And now it's my pleasure to welcome the Queen. The Queen. We got a king now over on the other side. So now you're the queen of the community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here. Happy Thursday. Boy, this year has gone by really quick. In 3 months, boy, it'll be Christmas again. Just absolutely phenomenally amazing. But welcome to the community briefing. Glad to have everyone here. We got Joe Razan. He's been very active. Hey, Joe. And some others. And of course, those of you that are going to be tuning in on our stream on Facebook. I am Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as the host of the community briefing and the business zone with Crystal and Gilbert that broadcasts live every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. So please join us. We're doing a series on achieving work-life balance, both in your work life and most definitely in your personal life. So this Friday, we're talking about succession and exiting strategies for your business. In the month of October, we're going to be talking about the entrepreneur and creating personal relationships, preferably on the personal love side, and how we make and navigate that. So please tune in with us. We want to thank our sponsors. This program and broadcast is powered and sponsored by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, the Black Business Association, as well as Southern California Edison, Wells Fargo, and Bank and SoCal Gas. So we want to thank all of them for supporting us, and we're continually to look for sponsors so that we can continue to bring this amazing podcast to you. Want to give shout out to our team, the community briefing team, Mr. Gregory Sneed, Mr. Stephen Turner, Ms. Robin Billups, and myself, Ms. Crystal Mitchell. So thank you, guys. Go tell a friend. We want this platform to be the communication platform for our community. This is the platform where we bring our leaders and stakeholders to you so you can personally hear firsthand what is going on in our community, because I am a firm believer, if you know what's on the menu, you'll definitely not be on the menu. And so a lot of times we are the last people to get information. So we're changing that platform with our media. So thank you, guys. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to Mr. Sneed.
All right. Thank you, Crystal. And welcome, everybody. I see some familiar faces, and I'm glad you guys are here. So today, our guest is Miss Kimberly Brown, and she refers to herself as a business developer, strategy driver, a hyper connector, community leader, board director, trustee, mentor, and she's purpose driven. For more than 3 decades, she's utilized her broad skill set to facilitate delivery of platform services for institutions, private equity investors, global occupiers, and that also includes commercial brokerage, investment sales, and asset services. She's currently managing director at Cushman & Wakefield, and she is the president of AAREP. And I don't see what that stands for, so she's going to share that with us. She recently joined them as president. She's also been with JRT Realty Group, Insignia ESG as a portfolio manager, Realtech Leasing and Management. She has 20 years of extensive experience in the supplier diversity space, and she has leadership skills, industry experience. So she's had a variety of roles, and she's here to share with us some valuable information. I have no idea where she grew up. We didn't get a chance to find that out. So I don't know if she's a Los Angeles native or she's from Texas. You're from LA?
South LA.
South LA. Okay. So, all right. South LA all day. Not the nighttime, but all day.
And
And
it was South Central, right?
South. Well, yeah. I used to live in an area and I called it Northwest South Central. So please welcome to the virtual stage, Ms. Kimberly Brown.
Thank you all. Thank you, Gregory. That was some introduction. I appreciate it. I'm just delighted to be here. I will tell you, for one, I'll correct, because that AAREP, not to be confused with that other organization some of us, I'm not going to say I'm a member of, but I qualify for it. But anyway, so AAREP stands for the African American Real Estate Professionals. It's a commercial real estate trade organization. I'm looked upon as the leader nationally. There's chapters in about 13 cities around the country, but I'm also president and a founding officer of the Los Angeles chapter. We've got about 1,100 commercial real estate professionals within our network here in Southern California. So just to clarify, not that other organization.
There you go.
Yeah, very important clarification.
The one at 49 and a half, they send you your first birthday gift for your happy birthday. You're 50 years old now. Not that organization, right?
Not that organization, right? The one where people go, wait. No, not you didn't mean you sent this to the wrong. No, right. Let me just clarify, Crystal. And as a matter of fact, we've got 18-year-olds in our chapter because we also encourage, and we've got a robust college student membership platform. So I tell folks we've got 18 to 80. In the organization. So anyway, but listen, I am honored and grateful for this invitation to join you all. And I'm so proud and impressed with what you're doing. I think it's so critically important. There's information sharing is key. I mean, there's so much happening right now in our community. There's a lot happening in the commercial real estate industry that impacts our community, that some folk and have always impacted our community. And so some folks are aware, others not so much. But even those of us, I've been in the industry for 30 plus years. I mean, even those of us that have been in the industry, listen, the pandemic and the social uprising of 2022 laid some stuff bare, right? Like, whoa, wow, and so now we're seeing this through a different lens. And so I'm often asked to speak mostly to commercial real estate industry organizations. So again, when Robin and Stephen contacted me about this opportunity, I'm always thrilled. Don't tell them, but I'm always more excited to talk to the community. So just delighted, just absolutely delighted. So we'll start with, I got a lot to say, but I'll just kind of distill it and so hopefully get some engagement here and some Q&A going. I love that. Let's talk about this whole concept around ESG, and because this is impacting what's happening in the community as well. So there's this concept that you're probably hearing about with companies, started with sort of what the Fortune rank companies, which are your big, large global companies, as well as your institutions. It's a concept around environmental, social governance. So then you've got capital. And I'm sure you've had guests on. I think I saw a number of guests on that address the access to capital component. Then you've got, sort of investment strategy. You've got investor appetite. You've got all these dynamics floating around in this soup. So you've got, what's happened in the past couple of years in the national global real estate market. And then there is communities of color, right? And so, which for years, our communities, look, I'm a product of South Los Angeles. My parents just this past summer marked their 60th year in the same house that we grew up with in South LA, deep inside, near Horace Mann, deep, whatever it is now, it's UCLA Horace Mann, but deep in South LA, grew up, born and raised, went to school, though I was bused. That's a whole nother conversation. My oldest brother, shout out to Marlon Dorsey, who's probably watching, went to Crenshaw. My middle brother and myself were bused, but again, that's a whole other conversation, because we see that, my parents see that differently than they saw that then. So nevertheless, I have been in the community for many, many years. I mean, full disclosure, I live in Long Beach now, but my parents still live, my mother still lives in the same house. And so I've seen the years of disinvestment, right? We've seen the shifting. When my parents first moved into their home in South LA, they were one of the first Black families. This is when Black families were just starting to open up and provide all the systemic policies that are the reason why things are the way they are. They were just starting to allow Black people to move west of the 110. So when my parents bought their home 60 years ago, they were one of the first families on the block. I mean, the neighborhood was primarily white. Needless to say, we're all fully aware of what happened there and white flight and why our neighborhoods. And so then you bring in, sort of integration with the busing, where you're stripping the kids and the families and the parents that were actively involved in the schools. You're selling them a bill of goods and saying that, hey, you can get a better education if you bus your kid 30 miles away over there. And my reason for saying this is because it's all part of a systemic piece that contributes. When you so go to school, so goes the neighborhood. So when you're pulling people out of neighborhoods that are the fabric of a neighborhood, you're disrupting the neighborhood. So years and years, and we all know about civil unrest, and we all know, many of the things that have happened. Not trying in the least bit to give a history lesson, but what I'm saying is there have been years of disinvestment in our communities. And so that's what I kind of want to talk to you about. This organization that I lead, AAREPLA, we've coined a phrase: we're the intersection of the commercial real estate industry and the Black community. And so, by day, yes, I am managing director with Cushman & Wakefield. I basically sell the platform, which means that I'm a broker, technically. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I will say that I do engage a lot with, on all sides, and that's important. And we say that within AAREPLA, like, listen, it's important for us to have folks on all sides of the equation. We've got within our organization, we've got local developers, we've got folks that are active, we've got luminaries like Joe Roseanne. Hey, Joe, one of our members. Super excited. We just featured Vermont Slauson Economic on our developers tour last month. That was phenomenal. So nevertheless, so we've got capital raisers, we've got institutional investment managers, we've got folks in all what we call the food groups, we've got folks in the office, we got brokers in the office sector, industrial, retail, multifamily, affordable housing, explosion of affordable housing professionals. We've got college students, we've got early career professionals, we've got industry veterans, we've got luminaries. Councilman Kern Price, another one of your guests, is also a member of our chapter. So we have just a good mix of professionals across the spectrum. And that's important for us, because that lends itself to being a voice, right? Just being a voice and representing. So when issues arise that affect commercial real estate, there is a touch point within our organization. Absolutely. So, and that hasn't always been the case. That sort of, the organization dates back 30 plus years, started in New York, then DC. We were about the 5th chapter here in SoCal. And when we started the SoCal chapter about 10, 12 years ago, we were always a bunch of us that are kind of institutionally minded, we're all coming from the investment space and the investment management space, et cetera. And we're all having a great time doing what we do and networking. Since the events of 2020, suddenly, like, this thing has become so critically important as the voice of the industry. And by that same token, we're also somewhat of the gatekeeper for the institutional world, for the Fortune ranked global occupier, that's what we call it, world. They're coming to us. All the other industry trade organizations, many folks are familiar with the Urban Land Institute, great supporter of ours. We're getting all ICSC, which was formerly a retail base, but now they've sort of expanded it. So all of these folks. So all of that to say, bringing it full circle, there's this whole notion of environmental social governance. Like everything is for the greater good. Everybody wants to help the world go round. And so do investors. And so when you look at our communities, right? Our communities are vulnerable, and they're vulnerable on a few levels. I mean, we obviously know about gentrification. And listen, this might drop your rocks. Gentrification on its own isn't terrible. We need some investment in our community. It's the gentrification with displacement that is of major concern. And so again, we're proud within our organization. We just had a bus tour in July where we featured we're actually already got our 2023 bus tour already planned, but we feature 5 of our developers, 5 of our investment managers within our organizations, working for organizations from within the community. So we had Joe Roseanne on the tour. We had Prime Store, Leandro Tyberg. We had Van Scott with Bridge Housing. We had doing some great things in Watts, and all of these folks are partnered up, and these organizations are just with Sam Hughes, ERC. I noticed Sam was a guest on your show as well previously. Just great supporters. And so we felt it necessary to feature them. And then also, and check out an article in the LA Sentinel, which describes that they did a great job in covering the bus tour and what the organization did. Kareem Webb was a guest speaker, keynote speaker at a brunch we had at Post and Beam afterwards. So again, everything Black, everything community. And just a great event that highlighted some work that folks are doing in the community. So back to this CSG thing that I speak of. So there's 2 pieces to that. There's the E, there's the environmental piece, okay? Just a little nugget. So communities of color are the most vulnerable, and rural communities are the most vulnerable to the impact of what's happening with the climate. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. I mean, you saw what happened in just the horrific events in New Orleans. And there are reasons why communities of color are where they are, okay? There are reasons why when the environmental stuff happens, you smell some toxic something and there are reasons why that is, and that has to do with systemic policies, particularly around redlining, that formed these built environments, right? These communities which we live in. So when you look at where some of the industrial plants are, that have what we call like dirty uses, right? Which when you look at just the lack of vegetation, the lack of foliage, the lack of all of that contributes to environmental vulnerability. And it's coined environmental injustice. And so I encourage everybody, I don't want to go too deep into that because that's a whole nother conversation, but I'm just on a crusade of sorts. And so I encourage everybody to look up, do some research on environmental justice, and you'll understand why things are the way they are. From the social piece, the social impact piece. A lot of institutional players now. When I say institutional, I mean banks, pension funds, insurance companies all have significant holdings in real estate. In fact, your pensions, 401ks, where you check off the box and you're like, oh, or you're contributing to a mutual fund that has an allocation for real estate. Well, all that's going into a bucket, right? And so that money is being managed. And so that investment manager, the folks that control that capital, are 98.7% white. So white male. So when you talk about implicit bias, and look, we all have it. We're all comfortable with who we're comfortable with. I'm oftentimes comfortable with these conversations, but I'm a little bit more comfortable on the call with y'all on the screen here than I am with in Corona Del Mar at a conference somewhere. And so, but that implicit bias has an impact on how that capital is deployed. And so if you are, from the country club and you're going to hire your friend, and you're going to hire your friend's kid, and that friend's kid's going to manage that money, and his fund may get that money, and that money's going to get deployed elsewhere. That money doesn't always land in our communities. but enter 2020 and we saw it kind of ramping up. Well, with this social impact sort of a thrust, we're seeing lots of social impact. We're seeing lots of impact funds. A beautiful thing, because now that translates to capital being deployed in our communities. However, you got to have investment managers and asset managers that are of color or that have a vested impact in how that in the investment strategies and how that money is deployed in our communities. And so there are a lot of folks within AAREP nationally and within other organizations. There are a lot of Black folks out there that are just beating the horn and beating the banner, like, listen, we need to have a voice in this and we need to talk about. So now what you're seeing a lot of outside capital coming into South LA. Clearly Inglewood, I mean, it's a whole nother story, but you're seeing a lot of outside capital coming in, and it's shaping and reshaping our communities. And so, so you're going to see some improvements, so to speak, in our communities. I mean, we hear about the urban heat island effect, right? So now you're seeing more investment or more plans to create green spaces, right? That's critically important. Listen, if you didn't know, the reason why you drive through certain communities in LA, or particularly around the 77th Street precinct, that big old circle that have very few trees, and if they have trees, take a look at those trees. Those trees go straight up, right? They don't create a canopy. Well, guess what? I don't know if this is fact, but I was told that those trees were planted like that so that helicopters can see, right? To not obstruct the helicopter's view. Okay. But what that did was that made our communities, I forget what the percentage is, and I don't want to quote a number. I used to know this, but that our communities are that much hotter than the communities 10 miles north. And with that comes heat stroke. Our homes are older, right? We don't have the air conditioning. So it comes with those heat impact, those issues around the kids are playing on the asphalt, which is 110 degrees. I mean, just all of that awareness needs to be raised, and all of that needs to be addressed. Not saying I have the answers, but the more people that we can get thinking about this stuff, the more I'm looking at time, the more folks just kind of know how to focus their attention. So gentrification with displacement, urban heat island effect, bringing in fresh grocers, I've got a friend that owns a Juice for Life, 50/50 Juice Lounge on Western, Karen Qualls. And listen, she's got a juice lounge she opened up. She's killing it, like great business. And she wants to bring in a farmer's market for 90047, right? Like, so we need more of that to combat kind of the food desert. The piece that I want to, and then we can open up if you like, I could talk all day, but the other piece of this is I want to talk about the opportunities, not only for us to not sell your mama's house, because that is a crusade. And my mother has made it clear to us, don't sell my house. Okay, Mom. But realizing I've got two brothers, so we all have to be in agreement, because I know sometimes that'll disrupt the plan. I know, listen, these offers get too good. But for those that can, hold on to your real estate. I'm not in the residential market by no means. It's a whole different animal, whole different sector. But I do know, don't sell your mama's house if you can. As it relates to commercial and businesses, and I know we've got a number of entrepreneurs and business owners on the phone, this whole supply chain diversity piece is real. I mean, there's opportunity. Like, listen, we should be, if they're expanding our space and our communities, we should be getting in on that. And so there's opportunities, but people don't know how. So there's opportunities for businesses, right, to play a part in this. I don't know when the transit's cutting through. I don't know how many, what they call it, like minority women's business enterprise numbers requirements were for that spend. Usually 25, 30%, don't know where they're at, don't know what they got. But what I'm saying is opportunities exist. Go on the city's website, go on, get your business certified. I'm sure that's been discussed here. In brokerage, it's huge. I mean, these Fortune 500 companies and these institutions are like, listen, we're doing it. We expect you all to do it. Go out and find Black brokers, go out and find Black property managers, go out and find Black vendors, janitorial companies, painters, you name it, right? To service our real estate. That is a real charge that's going on, and there is opportunity there. It's just a function of knowing how to identify those opportunities. The banks are hot right now. Shout out to One United Bank, also a sponsor of AAREPLA. There's all kinds of programs out there, and so I'm just encouraging everyone to get involved on any level, because any level can have an impact, and it takes everybody to win. It takes everybody to make the world go round, and there's opportunity. And right now our communities are vulnerable, but yet we're powerful, and we've got a lot of people doing a lot of amazing things. You might not necessarily see it when you're driving around, but there are a lot of people doing a lot of amazing things. But these systemic issues, 98.7%, remember that number, controlling the capital, these systemic issues create some challenges that we need to overcome. And there are a lot of people out here working to do that.
Awesome. Wow. Go ahead, Greg.
So we're looking to you, Kimberly, to fix this by the end of next year. By 2023, you're gonna have this all sorted out, right?
Listen, I start talking and I'm like, start sounding good to myself, and then I'm like, wait a minute, they're gonna think that I got that. No, listen, my role, and there's a number of just, again, prominent real estate folks. Like, I got a call from Curtis Fralin, who many of you know, and Curtis is like him as you for this moment, right? In terms of intersecting our commercial real estate industry and the community, and unifying folks, and creating kind of this platform. And what I will say, honestly, even within our organization, and yes, folks, you do need to be in commercial real estate to join our organization, but AAREPLA.org is our website. What we're seeing like a self-sustaining piece, right? So we're seeing, after every event, and we throw some fabulous events. Listen, all these other industry trade organizations, these legacy trade, they love a good AREP event, because we have phenomenal networking events. After every event, there's always engagement. People are partnering. Black folks, we're partnering up together. We're giving each other business. Sam Hughes calls and he's like, hey, let me get that videographer's phone number, right? Because maybe he wants to do, capture new images of his portfolio over there and watch. I mean, there's all this cross-pollination that's simply happening just because we're providing a platform. And so that's the stuff that just more of that. And we've got investment partners partnering up, a fellow by the name of Malcolm Johnson. I mean, all these folks, Malcolm Johnson, Langdon Park Capital just started an investment group. He's already got, I want to say, 150 million under investment, just made some big acquisitions. One in Baldwin, right there at the tip of Baldwin. We don't call it the jungle, it's called something else. Same with Daryl Carter of Vanith, just made a historical acquisition there as well. These are Black folks. These are absolute Black folks. And so that needs to be said and made aware. And these are folks, so it's doing, but it's a lot to do.
Well, Kimberly, we are you said a lot. You shared a lot with us, and that's great. Let me try to, I guess, share a little bit about on the board on your website. You mentioned that, and I looked at it, and I realized I've heard about the organization through AREP and not AAREP. So, and just didn't think of that. But I'll share that very quickly, because I know that can you guys see the screen there?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the board. So there's Kimberly there, and here's some other members: Troy, Michael Tidwell, Alicia, and then your board of directors. Probably some names here that you guys will have know about here in the LA area.
Oh, Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry. Hey, Sherry.
And my sister was very good friends with Bill.
Yes, let's talk about Bill, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. William E. Yarbrough. Okay. So, the organization's been around 12 years, 12, 30, the LA chapter, at least, again, started in New York 30 some odd years ago. The Yarbrough brothers. Two brothers grew up in New York, cut their teeth as commercial real estate brokers in New York. And just prominent, well known in commercial real estate circles and brokerage circles nationally. And unfortunately, in 2020, Eric Yarbrough, who was just a champion of diversity, and by the way, you will not see that word on our like, we're conscious, we're just developers, we're real estate people, we don't always need a label and a tag for other people's benefit. But Eric Yarbrough passed away suddenly in 2020. And he was on the board of a number of organizations there, just really prominent. Bill Yarbrough was out here. Bill Yarbrough was most recently charged with growing and expanding the commercial platform for Keller Williams Inglewood. And Bill came to us about 3 years ago and just got actively involved in AAREPLA, was sort of using AAREPLA to build his platform, which, not mad, like that's what you should be doing, right? Getting young brokers and the whole thing. Just a fantastic mentor. So we're like, listen, Bill needs to be, Bill should be president. Like, so Bill, we voted Bill in as president. Things were going just fantastic. It was his time. He was hitting his stride. December 14th, we had a board call still on Zoom. We're talking. I mean, Bill is glowing. He's talking about going to see his mother. We're fab. By that next morning, I got a call like 10 o'clock that morning. Kim, have you heard? Bill had passed away. And so that sent the industry reeling. I mean, the Yarbrough brothers and we call it the legacy industry, the Cushman and Wakefields, the CBREs, the JLLs, Bill and his brother were 30, 40 years, and there are a lot of brokers that have been in the business, particularly in New York at that time, that knew these guys. They're just, to know them was to like, they never met a stranger. So anyway, what that did for us, it was to just sort of propel us all of a sudden, me particularly, because I was serving as vice president to Bill's presidency, which was perfectly fine with me at that time. So I was and so that sort of propelled. And then here comes the industry, just like a tsunami in reaching out. And so Bill's legacy, we honored Brad Johnson was his best friend, and working closely with Brad and we honored Bill's legacy. We had a breakfast at the City Club in LA, and the industry came out, and it was just a beautiful reception. Council Member Price came out. We got, a tribute from Marquis Harris Dawson. I mean, so the industry, the city honored Bill in a huge way. His loss just reverberated, and it particularly reverberated across the country because it was within 1 year and then the next year that we lost lions, we lost a legacy. And so we committed to continuing on. And again, there was a quote by Maya Angelou, like a good soul never dies. I don't know the exact quote, but the spirit, like things just took off, like this year particularly. And so we're moving in a lot of different directions. The exposure, the national attention, the visibility has really taken off, and we're doing it in Bill's honor.
Thank you, and our condolences, and keep his life and soul in our memories.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We've got a few questions here. One is, I was wondering if Kimberly was or is a member of NAREB, NAREB.
NAREB. There's so many organizations. National Association of Real Estate. I need help on that.
Chris, can you provide?
No.
You're correct. It's the National Association of Real Estate Professionals.
Okay, no, I am not. I'm not necessarily sure if that is a residential or commercial. I will tell you just so I do see the national census. And it's interesting because there are a number of organizations and some are more popular in certain areas and some are not, but I will run down to you. So I sit on the board, I've got numerous board seats. Sit on the board of BOMI Institutional, which is an educational arm to BOMA, Building Owners and Managers Association. Also sit on the board of BOMI Certification Institute, but that's sort of an offshoot of that. I'm a member of the Real Estate Executive Council, NAREIT, NAIOP. In fact, they've asked me to speak next month. ICSC, ULI, and I think that's it. I think so. I'd actually have to look at my own LinkedIn, but no, I'm not a member of NAREIT, but I will look at it. I will look into it.
Thanks, Kimberly.
I think that last letter was supposed to be a P instead of a B. So
No, you're right. You're right, Greg. It's a B. It's the National Association of Real Estate Brokers.
Brokers.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Nope. I will absolutely take a look at that. But and again, my side is more on the institutional side, so I tend to move closer with the organizations that are like the ULIs and the NAIOPs that are in that investment space. And listen, let me tell you, those are legacy is kind of the word we use for organizations that are historically don't look like us, because those are the ones that have been in, moving and making decisions. And so, listen, they all come our way because they've all struggled with diversity. And, we are who we are, and our members are loyal and interested in furthering the cause of our organization. So while we will we don't partner with anyone with those organizations, because partnership means more work for us and who benefits who more, right? But we will, and I manage our sponsor relationships. We will allow them to sponsor us. And what that means is you can support what we do. And I'm sure you all are in the same boat, right? So you can support what we do, right? And so, ULI, ICSC, and the others sponsor us, and which means they support what we do.
Joe, I see you, and I'll get to you in a moment. Same thing for you, Yolanda. Kevin, you asked a question. I think Robin answered your question in the chat about certification agencies. Website address, we gave that out. Mm-hmm.
Stephen has a question, I think, that hasn't been addressed.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down. What's with downtown vacancy rate over 22%, do you see people continuing to work remotely? And do you think office tenancy has shifted permanently?
Love it. That's so funny with this question. It's so timely. Yesterday, so there's a member, I was in a pitch yesterday with my Cushman & Wakefield colleagues, brought a team in with a particular investment management firm with a significant asset, significant building in downtown LA. The vacancy number that I was hearing around the horn was 17%. But nevertheless, to your question, the thought in brokerage and in the institutional space is downtown will never be the same. El Segundo, Culver City, like all these areas that have people want low rise. If they are coming back to work and companies are trying to, tenants, which are the businesses, are trying, from beer tap machines to breakfast burritos in the morning. They're trying really hard to get folks back to work. And this is a long answer because, as you all can tell, all of my answers are scenic routes. The communities, the business districts that have the green space, the low rise, that have the walkable amenities, that make you feel safe, that can do some creative tenant experience things, are the ones that I won't say they're winning, but the ones that aren't hurting as much. Downtown can't do all that. Now you've got, I forget what their occupancy numbers are looking like, but they're like the lowest right now. And then now you've got sort of the homeless issue, which is a whole nother conversation. But the point is, people don't feel safe. downtown. And so companies don't feel safe. And so there is this conundrum. There is no answer to that question. There is no answer to that question. You ask 17 people, you're going to get 17 different answers. But what we all agree upon is it's not going to be the same anytime soon. And the new normal, we're not going back to normal, right? What normal was in 2019 will not look the same. There will be some variation thereof. So companies that have, let's say they did a build out or renovated their corporate office in 2019, if they were to do it all over again in 2020, it wouldn't look the same way. Like your office needs to look a certain, like you almost, if you're downtown, you almost need to try and mimic the experience that folks can get in some of these other markets that have more amenities. And so like there was a whole concept that was discussed about like peeling back, almost like creating setbacks in buildings, like peeling back exterior to create some outside experiences and just in those high rises downtown and what have you. So my point is there's just a lot of discussion around it, but it's a conundrum. There is no answer.
Which is interesting because those two monstrous buildings that were created on La Cienega and Rodeo or Obama Boulevard or Jefferson, I mean, they just stand out, and there's no way in the world people are not going to go in there. It's like, what were they thinking?
Well, listen, so here's the thing, and that's a catch-22. So that one building, the Rapper Tower, listen, that's considered West Adams, by the way. That market, like they consider that market in commercial real estate terms, that market is assigned to West Adams, which, okay.
That's a stretch.
Okay.
That's like South Central being at Sunset doing the riots, right?
Exactly. So true. And so, but that's lending itself to the gentrification of West Adams. So what's interesting is I actually had a business opportunity to pitch the business to the owner of Rapper Tower, which is a woman and her husband were developers. Her husband passed away, and they're big arts people in Culver City and stuff. And so they're going to target gamers. They're going to target tech folk, studio folk. They'll get it, honestly. I know it sounds way out, but because of that area, because of where that sits, they're going to get, and the big explosion of tech media, gaming kind of thing, that's the Rapper Tower. That's the commercial asset. The multifamily and the residential asset, because it's not my what do you call it? It just doesn't, it's not in my wheelhouse.
Your space. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't necessarily speak to it, but that's a whole bunch of, look, I was watching it too as it was going up, like, whoa, wow, where are all these people gonna come from? But it's transit oriented development, right? So it's right on that train line. So the thought would be, and I'm sure they didn't anticipate a pandemic, but the thought would be that folks will walk across the street from the train.
At $5,000 a month. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
And who's that?
Yeah, I just saw that, and there's a Whole Foods there. When you talk about, bringing the amenities to these buildings, that's one of the things. They bring like a Whole Foods there. I mean, that's the one
Exactly.
that's by the train line, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I was just driving down that way over the weekend, and I'm like, oh, there's a Whole Foods and it's open. So you have your Whole Foods and your grocery store right below. So I think that's kind of like what they want to do.
100%.
Bring those type of amenities.
100%. You're probably going to see a whole bunch of scooters out front. You're going to have, listen, like the Whole Foods almost with that many units. Of course you brought a Whole Foods in, right? And again, it's right off the train line. The thought, like, then you got Rapper Tower right behind it. So the thought is like, listen, like if they bring in, like, I think they want to bring in like 2 or 3 big tenants, right? So you bring in 2 or 3 big tech, gaming, that whole, we call a Silicon Beach, which is that, Culver City area. It's an extension of that Silicon Beach area. So the thought is probably like, look, the area is shifting. I mean, I don't know how many of us are in tech, gaming, but, so the thought, I'm sure, is likely that folks will hop on the train and stop at Whole Foods and grab something to go and go up to their $5,000 a month.
All right, Joe. Okay, we'll work with that.
Well, I may have put my hand up first, but I'm going to be a gentleman. And if Yolanda would like to go before me, if you allow that, I'd be happy to do that.
Yolanda? I don't know where Yolanda disappeared to. So Joe, I guess it's
Well, I
back
tried.
Okay, it's back at you, Joe.
Well, my grandma would be proud. But anyway,
Yes, she would.
I'd like to first start off by saying I am so proud of the work that AAREP is doing. I'm a new member to AAREP. I was encouraged to participate and joined by one of my board members, Curtis Fralin, who I've known for over 30 years. And I got to tell you what I most admire about Kim is her bold leadership. It's just amazing because this bus tour that she's talking about that I had the pleasure of participating in, I have not participated or witnessed anything like that since the John Bryant days of almost 30 years ago, and that was, I hope we continue in that road, Kim. And so I just want to thank you, first of all. But my comment, and maybe more so a question, Kim, not to blindside you. I'm getting a lot of background noise. But anyway, is Prop 19, legacy, particularly for Black people, is their homes, the homes that our parents, our grandparents, and Prop 19 was a shocker to many. Wanted to know what AAREP's position may be, if you are able to speak on it. And if not now, I would certainly like AAREP to take a shot at a piece on the position, particularly affecting Black folks' home ownership and the legacies that we've held on to for so many decades.
No, and Joe, the admiration is mutual. I don't want to turn this into a love fest, but salute you, sir. Appreciate you. I'm going to have to kind of answer that with a non-answer because, and I will say this, and we're exploring this. So we have a 501c3 status, which means that we cannot, involve ourselves in anything around political or take any overt political positions. We are exploring converting, creating a foundation maybe and giving it a 501c6 status where we can participate and have a voice is what I'm hearing, and have a voice in a little bit more power like that. Because when the organization started, listen, we were just a networking group. We didn't think we needed C6 status, but we're becoming increasingly, and Joe, this, I mean, just increasing with your, even with you coming on board, like we're becoming increasingly important to things that are happening within our community. So sort of an answer, non-answer, but you did good with the layup at the first part of the question, Joe. Appreciate it.
And did Yolanda, did you have a question or no? Okay, maybe not. So we're getting down towards the end here. So Kimberly, can you sort of summarize like what's on tap for the next sort of 3 to 6 months? What's on the short term window in terms of goals or things that you're looking to make happen?
Okay, no, thank you. So so as it relates to myself personally, I mean, again, I've gotten increased traffic, and what that means is, just from my forward facing nationally. And by the way, I lived in New York for a number of years. So I got a lot of touch points in New York and a lot of visibility there as well as across the country, because my role has always been, well, for 20 years, my role was national. And so, I'll continue to source opportunities. Some of these opportunities are in and around our communities. And so that's one. Two, as it relates to AAREP, listen, like we keep going. Like, we're exploring the 501c6 foundation piece, but we've got a huge event coming up next month. And so we'll probably get a couple hundred people. And I did mention we've got, 25 sponsors. So we invite our sponsors out to our corporate sponsored event. So our next event will be sponsored by Barings Real Estate, which is a global investment manager at their flagship asset. In December, we're planning, and again, haven't signed a contract, but can say this, but we're planning a sneaker ball fundraiser as our December mixer at the Gathering Spot in West Adams. And so, needless to say, they're interested in conversation because the Gathering Spot is a club, so to speak, a membership-based club, business club. And so we've got a whole bunch of people that could be of interest to them. So that's coming up. We've got a mentorship program. We're running a robust student campaign. So we continue to get, in fact, I've got about 2 or 3 in my inbox. We continue to get interest from undergraduate students that are either at community college or universities. And so what we do with those young folks is we bring them in and we mentor. Listen, this business on the commercial real estate side it's not for us, by us. It hasn't been. But now we've got folks like Joe, folks like Kurt, folks like Marlon Dorsey on the phone that are in position now, right, to be able to lift, right? So hashtag lifting as we climb has sort of become another one of our mantra, because guess what? We can pick up the phone and make a phone call. A young brother came to me through someone overheard him. He coaches basketball in Orange County. Was at a real quick story at a basketball tournament, and heard he said, I want to get into real estate. Young kid, Tyjon James, remember that name? Grew up in Watts, had no idea about real estate. Is a junior at UCLA on academics, PS, not playing anything. Brought him out to the July event. We give those students complimentary memberships if you're undergraduate in community college and you had to kind of demonstrate a commitment to real estate. And listen, we're already networking. We're already working on a summer internship for that guy. Like, we will make sure, we will see to it that he succeeds. So our mentorship program, we're in conversation with Solar Impact Fund at the Beehive on 60th and anybody? 60th and like Avalon, like right around in there. They've got a phenomenal, we're in conversation. They've got a sound studio and a podcast studio. So we're going to be developing a podcast series. And with them coming up, we just got a lot of it. We'll do our market forecast breakfast, which is a big deal in February. So if you're in under the sound of my voice and you're in the commercial real estate industry, I encourage you to go to our site, look at joining. It's just, there's a lot going on.
And so we're going to put our dibs in on behalf of Robin, Stephen, Crystal, and I to get an invite to some of these events.
Absolutely.
Right. And we got witnesses.
Sure.
Okay, we got witnesses.
Yeah, we'll make sure of it.
There's one final question here is, are the AAREP events open to adjacent industries like architecture?
Yes. So basically, here's the thing. So AAREP, and again, you have to be a member to attend our events, but we'll talk. But yes, if you're in and around commercial real estate, so we've got architects, we've got lawyers, we got folks that own janitorial companies. I mean, we've got it all. I mean, there is no, you don't have to be a broker, or you don't have to be a developer, or you don't have to, as long as you service or you're in and around commercial real estate, that's your sphere, then you are absolutely welcome to join the AAREP train and be a part of something. Nationally, we've got about 5,000 Black professionals in our network. Flagship chapters in DC, they're having a big gala coming up, the whole city. They're a C6, so they've got connections and they get involved in the city and what happens there. But Atlanta's a big chapter. Dallas just launched. That's going to be a power chapter as well. I mean, Bay Area, Philly, shout out to Philly, we've got chapters all over.
I was just about to ask where the other locations are, and you kind of beat me to the punch there.
Yeah, no, they're all over. And
how many locations?
And so it's like a dozen, give or take, just because some are in various stages of formation. Right now, I'm sort of seen as the leader, or I've been fighting it for years, like, 'cause it's just got enough to do off the side of my desk, but it's kind of becoming apparent that, and while we're a federation, which means that each chapter is functioning independently, there is no national governing body. We do collaborate, and there is a voice, and that voice tends to be, to the outside world, that voice tends to be yours truly. Surprise.
Crystal, you want to welcome, we have some new members and our returning members?
Oh, we do. Chris, thank you for coming back again. And we have Petra, Bradley, Marlon Dorsey. Is this your relative?
That's
Kimberly?
my brother.
Okay, I thought I heard that.
Real estate.
Hey, Marlon. And Mr. Wilder, welcome back. And Mr. John May, he comes in every week. And Miss Rhonda Hobart, who is my partner in crime with the kids business camp. Kimberly, I do have a young college student that wants to go into real estate, and she's in college right now, so commercial would be awesome for her. So I'm going to refer her over to you. And everyone else, thank you. And Jeanette, she has been with Recycling Black Dollars for a long time. Her mom was married to Mr. Willie Fan, who was the former director of Recycling Black Dollars. So thank you so much for sharing and coming to visit us, and Mr. Richard. And of course, Joe Razan has been doing some awesome things out there. I couldn't make that event yesterday. John Bryan is the man. And Kimberly, I remember, this is going to age me, but I remember back in 1992 or 3, John Bryan told everyone that lived in the Pico area, West LA, not to sell your homes, because in the next 10-15 years it's going to be phenomenal. There was a mass exodus to Apple Valley and Lancaster and all those areas, and all those black people moved out of that area, and now you don't even see any black people over there whatsoever. So you are so right. Yolanda just put her hand back up, and I think there was somebody else that put their hand up.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. And you're absolutely right. And my brother works for Operation Hope, and Operation Hope is doing extremely well. But the other bit of information that I wanted to make everyone aware of, if you're not already, is Legacy Home Loans, Legacy Home Mortgage. Does anybody know about Legacy Home Mortgage? Okay, well, you should know. Legacy Home Mortgage is the largest Black owned and operated mortgage company in the country. Legacy now has been approved to be the go-to mortgage company for Black aspiring homeowners. All of their loans are directed to the Black community. Fannie Mae has given them the auspicious opportunity to focus on 6 cities that have the largest population of Black people. Would you believe Los Angeles, California is not one of them? Nobody on the West Coast. But Legacy, nonetheless, is based in Los Angeles and in Las Vegas. And Crystal, if you would send me email addresses, I will send everybody the article that's been in Black Enterprise as well as Essence Magazine. And it is a phenomenal article, and this is a phenomenal deal. This is history. It's only once in a lifetime. This has never happened before. So their focus is the Black community. And I wanted to say to Kimberly, through my radio network, I'm involved with NAREB in Dallas, Fort Worth. And there are NAREB chapters all over the country. And NAREB is pretty big in a lot of places. I don't know anything about NAREB here on the West Coast, but NAREB, the Dallas-Fort Worth, Dallas has up to maybe 80 or more members. The Houston chapter has probably as many. There's NAREB of Harlem, NAREB in Atlanta, and several places. But NAREB is a pretty large organization, and they do a lot of work. All in the real estate space. So I wanted to let everybody know that.
And Yolanda, look up AAREP Dallas. Go to LinkedIn and follow AAREP. If you're in Dallas, I'm assuming that you are. You've got some business in Dallas. A Dallas chapter just launched. They just had their launch last 2 weeks ago. They're actually going to be ULI Dallas, or ULI National is having its fall meeting. There'll be like 5,000 folks in Dallas for ULI. They're going to be hosting AREP Dallas, so you want to get involved for sure. So please follow
I
them
sure
on
do.
LinkedIn.
I sure
Maybe
do.
there could be some NAREP collaboration or something at some point.
Absolutely. And Crystal, I spoke to Sarah and Wendy, and I go way, way back. And I was talking to them about a BBA chapter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I did speak with someone just a little while ago, and we're continuing to talk about that. And I would like to get all of you involved in BBA DFW.
All right.
Yes, and Recycling Black Dollars also needs to be in the DFW Metroplex.
Awesome. Actually, there is some kind of branch of something, Recycling Black Dollars in Dallas. But let's talk. Can you send me your email, Justin, phone? I'll put it in the chat. Thank you, Yolanda, so we can actually have a side conversation. Joe?
Yeah, I'll make this fast. I know that the clock has run on us, but I just wanted to share the event yesterday real quickly. This is extremely important for everybody on this call. We were contacted about 3 weeks ago from SBA for a potential partnership with SBA and Operation Hope to launch the Touch 1 Million Black Businesses by 2030. And this is a national tour with SBA and Operation Hope over 15 cities. It may be extended beyond the 15. And we were very honored and fortunate to be selected as the launch city. So Vermont Slauson will be very much engaged. There will be a number of partnership opportunities in this effort. So I just want everybody here to take a look at it. The program through SBA, the Touch 1 Million Black Businesses by 2030. Please take a look at it.
Awesome. Awesome, Joe. Thank you so much. Before we want to thank Kimberly. Kimberly, you were absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone else that's come out. Joe, thanks for dropping by to visit us. I know you're very busy, but we do appreciate it. But I do want to do a shout out before we close. I want to shout out to three brothers that took the initiative, even though there was no straight line to get there. But they still took the initiative, and they were awarded with the purchase of a piece of property in Leimert Park. Tony from Hot and Cool Cafe, Dana from the Ride on Bike Shop, and Akil from Soul Folks. They purchased the property from the alley all the way down to where Barbara Morrison's museum is. So now these three brothers, black brothers, but most importantly, what they did was they created a land trust that now that property can only be in the hands of black people, I guess for perpetuity, and the building is in an LLC. So I am so proud of them because there was no direction, no one. They just said, hey, we want to buy. Let's collaborate together as black people. Let's ignore the naysayers saying that we cannot work together, and let's make this happen. So they made it happen. So stop by, give a shout out to all of them. This is amazing. And according to them, Leimert Park is primarily black owned now. I think there's one piece of property, and Kimberly, you probably know this better than I do. There's only one piece of property left that is not, and I guess that's going to be the next one on the block. But they've been looking for Leimert Park to be Africa Town for as long as I've been in the state of California, which has been since the 70s. And so they are there. So we should definitely celebrate them for their ingenuity and their dedication to make that happen. And there's some other great things I know that's coming up that Cherie Franklin is working on over there on the Stalker area. So black folks, we working together, and that's what we need to do. We are going to not be the community of color. That's an afterthought. Kimberly, we're going to make sure that we get our voices out there. So that's thank important. You. Yes, it is. And thank you for coming and sharing. That's what this platform is about, bringing information to the community so that we know what's going on and not just sitting back hearing rumors about what's going on. So you guys know, I always say, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. So we're getting off the menu and we're getting to the table. So with that, Stephen, you want to tell us who's next week?
Yes. Great session with Kimberly.
Yes.
Wow, so much.
Oh,
in
thank you.
In the vein of celebrity, because you are a celebrity in the commercial world, we're fortunate next week we're going to have the legendary publicist and entertainment manager, Ramon Harvey II. Ramon has represented everyone from Bette Midler to Little Richard, Quincy Jones, the Jacking Five, as well as his ex-wife, Vanessa Williams. And he has a book called The Fame Game. So you want to know the inside story about celebrity and the makings of Black Hollywood? Tune in next week with Ramon Harvey II.
All righty.
And if anyone is interested in having a radio show, podcast, getting your message out, please look for me, and I'm going to put my information in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so Greg, you got some parting words? Wish Greg a happy birthday. His birthday is coming up next Monday.
Monday, yeah.
And we're celebrating this weekend for him. So happy birthday, Greg.
Thank you.
Bianca is singing to you.
I don't want to be around that birthday cake. You better have the fire department outside.
Right. Yeah, I'm certified, so I got extinguishers and the garden hose. Yeah, a lot of candles. Yeah, I'm turning 170.
All right, you look good, dude. Kimberly, come back anytime with you are just a wealth of information. Didn't realize that we thought the tall trees were pretty. But
Go back and look at them. And compare them to a now.
Now I have a whole different perspective of those tall palm trees.
Urban planning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna have my sister. She's in residential real estate. She needs to be where you guys are. She bored as heck over there in residential. She needs to convert over to a commercial. I will tell her when we get off this call. Marlon, thank you for coming back. Please come back. All of you come back. And thank you for obliging us. We've gone over our time. Next week Yes, Miss Emma.
Really quick. Hi, everyone. Yes. I really want to tell you, yesterday was phenomenal. And I thank Jill so much for being the MC for the event that we invited everyone to about the strategic alliance between Operation Hope and the SBA. We are going to bring more information about that. It was amazing. And you should go and see Jill's Slauson and Vermont's facility. It's amazing. Thank you, Joe, so much. And thank you, everyone that's on the call that participated. Really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yes. I wish I could have been there. I'm going to Cairo on Sunday, so I've been squeezing clients in all week long, and so I had to miss that. And I really sorry about that, but I will be telegassing from Cairo next week. So see you guys. See you guys next Thursday. Please come back. It's been great, Kimberly. You're amazing, lady.
So fun. Oh my God.
You are a celebrity.
Listen. No, I have other industry things that I say. And listen, when I talk to these other orgs, I say the same thing. Like, listen, just like this, while they're talking about their investment strategies and the this and the that, I'm like, listen, there's real people and real communities impacted while you see that investment on paper.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so important. It's important that you're at that table because they forget that there's real people on the other side. Right. There you go. That's even more so.
I love this.
Thank you. So please come back. Bring all your people over to share with us so that they'll know it exists. All righty, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Make sure you put your information in the chat. But, guys, just don't see the information over there. Utilize it. Network. Support each other. That's what Recycling Black Dollars is all about. We got to turn that... those 1 million businesses, can we at least turn our dollar over like 24 hours in our community instead of 6 hours? It'd be great if we got to be unlimited, but I'll take 24 hours. See you guys next week.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Robin.
Y'all come back now here.
Yeah.